If you're running out of time to source products or just want to scale faster, bringing on a virtual assistant can be a game changer. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly when and how to hire a virtual assistant for your Amazon business. The first place that we're going to start out to sign up for an account to hire a VA is going to be this website called onlinejobs.ph. It's not a .com, it's .ph for Philippines, because all of these VAs that you're going to be interviewing and getting messages from are all in the Philippines. So just to start off, the pricing here is a little bit different between the plans that you get. Now, I would recommend always just doing the Pro, doing it monthly for $69. You're not going to need the background data checks, worker mentoring service, and AI matching, so you don't have to worry about doing the premium. You can always sign up for a free account. You can see here that you can still post jobs on the free account. You can only get 15 applications per job though, and you can't communicate with anybody, send them messages back to their applications, anything. But if you just kind of want to get a proof of concept if you're going to get responses, which is not something that you need to worry about anyway, but if you just want to see it first, you can always just get a free account. And then when you're ready to message back people, or you reach the 15 applications and you want to have more come through, you upgrade for the Pro plan. Now, the idea with this kind of membership is not that you're going to have this all year round. What I've done, and what a lot of people that I know that also sell on Amazon that have VAs through this website have done, is you just sign up for 1 month, because it shouldn't take you over 30 days to have an applicant hired if you post a job right away. You'll get 50 or 60, maybe 100 applications, usually within the first 1 to 3 days. So it's not anything that's going to take you so long to where you have to pay for this monthly, every month, where you'd need an annual subscription either. This is a lot of money for something that you won't be using. The only other thing that really comes with this is going to be what they call time proof, which is a way that you can kind of track what your VA is doing. So maybe that would be an incentive to hire somebody quicker if you find a good applicant that you feel is right for the position. That doesn't mean rush it because you only have 30 days. If you always needed to, you could pay for a second month, because the second month isn't that bad compared to paying for a whole year. Once you have your account set up and everything, we have a job posting that I'll leave in the description, a link for it, that you can just copy and paste into your application. But first, let's kind of talk about why you would need a VA and when you need a VA in general. And kind of my, rule is when I have not enough time to prep my products and source more products to expand the business, that's when I would consider hiring a VA. It's not something that you would want to do right off the bat. If you just started your selling business and journey, you're not going to want to hire a VA right away for a couple reasons. One being the cost. Even though it is a low rate for these guys' hourly rates and monthly rates, it's not something that you want to take on unless you have that extra money that you want to take out of your profit, because you don't want to get yourself into a hole just hiring somebody right out the gate, not having any profit for yourself, or maybe not any profit in general because you just started selling, and then have to create more debt that's not going to be turning into money like your products that you're going to sell. Another reason is because if you don't know how to source yourself and you don't know what a good product looks like and what a bad product looks like, you're not going to be able to critique their sourcing or really say yes and no to the products that they put into the buy sheet in order for them to make money. And if you don't know how to source yourself, you're not also going to be able to answer any questions that they would have or just anything along those lines to where it's going to help them do a better job and actually save you time and give you your time back. If you're having to learn alongside of them, it's going to take a lot more of your time, because you're going to be teaching basically two people, yourself and them, on what a good product is for you and what they need to look at. And if that is the case, then you need to wait a little bit and hire a VA when you know how to source and when you have enough money to be able to pay for this person's employment. So getting to the job post, it's pretty straightforward. It is a little bit lengthy, but it's broken up into different spots here. This part's just an intro of what we're looking for. Then it's got job requirements. The only one that I find necessary in this spot is just a good internet connection. And typically down there, it ranges from maybe 50 to 150, maybe 200 max. But I see a lot of applicants that I've spoken to over the years that say they have maybe 50 to 100 Mbps. So don't get caught off guard if that is what they tell you when you're doing interviews. It is pretty standard down there. It's rare that they get above 100, but you will find some people that do have that. But that's not necessarily a reason to pick somebody over somebody else just because they have a faster internet speed. Because even if they have a fast internet speed, if they don't source as good, then it's not worth having a faster internet speed. The responsibilities, just sourcing products using Keepa and SellerAmp. That's all I personally use to source products. Some people might use Tactical Arbitrage, Helium 10, other softwares, but those aren't really necessary for us. Keepa and SellerAmp are perfectly capable of doing all of the product sourcing. And then also manually sourcing supplier websites, because there might be a site-wide sale or something that you want them to go through, and they can just use SellerAmp, the extension for that, highlighting product titles, right-clicking like we've seen in the SellerAmp tutorial. If you haven't watched that, go check that out to be able to find out how to do that. And then also using Google Sheets, which is also in the SellerAmp tutorial that I have on my channel. They just need to basically enter the link for the supplier and export it to that using SellerAmp. There's not much that goes into that, but if they don't know how to do that, then that's a pretty clear indication that they aren't fit for the job. Then it just kind of repeats down here, prior experience, Keepa, SellerAmp. You can add other softwares in here, just like the responsibilities part, if you use them, but I don't use anything personally other than that for sourcing. So that's all that's needed in there. The benefits, flexible work schedule, just saying like they don't have to work 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. US time. If you're doing that to somebody in the Philippines, they're going to be working through the middle of the night, which usually isn't going to get you as quality work out of them because, I don't know, I would be tired if I was working through the middle of the night after being up all day. It would depend on, I guess, their own personal preference, but I don't like to make anybody do that. Maybe in the first week or so, you can have them start a little bit earlier. So maybe, I don't know, at night for US time, maybe 7 or 8, maybe 5 to 6, but that's still a little bit early for them depending on where you're at in the country. So just don't want to have that be the case forever. It's nice for me personally to be able to just wake up in the morning and start my day by looking at the leads that they've put into the sheet, and then I have time to go through them all before they start the next day, that same day later at night. That just works for me. But again, everybody else is different, has their own preferences and all that. Bi-weekly payment, you don't have to do that. You could do it every week. But for me, bi-weekly payment just gives me less of a chance that I'm going to be late on a payment or something. If I'm doing something that day and I completely forget to send a payment because I don't have it on auto charge, because hours kind of vary every week for my VA depending on holidays or just being sick possibly, or something comes up, then it would have to be changed every week and reset all that. It's just easier for me to pay them every week on manual side of that. Flexible time off, you can set, I guess, restrictions or a system for that. Personally, every month that my VA works, he gets a certain amount of time that he could use to take off that would be paid. Just kind of like a regular US job, 9 to 5. You work a certain amount of hours, you get sick hours, you get time off hours or days, just the same kind of system like that. Paid time off on holidays is completely optional. You could just say that they get the holiday off, but it's not paid. I do pay my VAs when the holidays are around and it's covered. It's not anything that they have to worry about. There is a good amount of holidays in the Philippines, though. You can find a list of them on the online jobs site, or just Google onlinejobs.ph holidays or just Philippines holidays. You'll find a chart with all of them, so you can kind of decide if you want to pay some of them, none of them, or all of them like I do. Then this part you're going to have to, at this point, create on your own. And I'll give you kind of an idea of how I've made mine. Is I've taken a couple screenshots of a Keepa chart and a SellerAmp chart, and I've covered up some information And then I've asked them to basically read that and tell me like maybe what is the ROI of this product, how many sellers are on this listing, just different things about reading those softwares. So that way you can get an understanding if they do have prior experience in Keepa and SellerAmp. I've done 1 to 2 of those kind of things. And then the third part of the practice test is just a list of different Keepa charts. There's good ones, there's bad ones, there's ones with red flags like price spikes, maybe Amazon's on the listing, something like that. And I've asked them to basically tell me, would you put this in the buy sheet? Yes or no, and why? So that way I can get an understanding of what do we need to work on if I do hire them. And if there's too many red flags, like they read the buy box line as an Amazon in price or something, which you wouldn't expect, but I have seen that before. So if they get all of those wrong, I typically don't move on with that person. Some people that I've seen have put in the end, give links to 3 different storefronts and have them source a product from each one with a supplier link to basically prove if they can do the sourcing part. But in my past experience, when I tried that in the first time that I tried to hire a VA, a lot of candidates were saying that they didn't want to complete that part because they've gotten that a lot, and it seems like people are just kind of taking free leads from everybody, which I just didn't want to put anybody off by asking for that and then not hiring them and having them think that of me. But if you want to do that, that's completely fine. Again, personal preference. Then down here, just 3, I guess, not random, but questions just to get them to prove to you that they did read the application. And these can vary. I just asked what's their past experience with the softwares and manual sourcing. What's the favorite category to source products in? Because I do specific categories in my store, so I want to see if they have any past experience or just like to source those because those kind of outweigh others. If, I don't know, you don't sell any beauty products and you sell only like technology stuff or just kind of like home items, and they put in, I only do beauty products, I've only done beauty products, and somebody else says your categories, maybe you want to prioritize the other person over the one that's never had any experience because, I don't know, when it comes to maybe shoes and clothing or other stuff like that, there's variation listings. If they have no experience with those, it may be a little bit harder to teach somebody that rather than just getting somebody who already understands that pretty good amount. Then the bottom one is completely up to you. I've seen a lot of different variations of this question down here, like asking what's your favorite color or like favorite place to visit as a vacation, or like even now sending a voice note or something to see if they can actually speak English well. But I just put a random one in here, like have you ever worked for a US seller before? I know that it's already in the top, that it's required, but this kind of just validates the fact that they did read the application. If they don't answer these questions, then you probably want to disregard that application because a lot of people on this site will just copy and paste the same application to hundreds of different applications over the course of a week, a month, whatever. And if you just get a blanket response to an application, you probably just want to disregard that message because if they don't follow directions or pay attention, then it's probably not going to be a good fit and you are going to get a lot of applicants. So it's a good way to kind of knock that down a little bit. So I'm going to show you how to first fill out the job application, and we're just going to take this whole thing and copy it. So when you get to online jobs, when you sign in, this button is just going to be up here the whole time. So this is just what I clicked on, is post a job. And you're going to see this box right here is the main thing. So for the job title, you could do Amazon OA or online arbitrage sourcing expert. That's what I've used before. Then we've got type of employment, full-time, part-time. Never do gig because you're not going to want just a 1 day of sourcing, but it's either full-time or part-time depending on your financial situation, I guess. But I would not really recommend doing part-time because if you hire them part-time, they're probably going to try to find somebody else that's also going to hire them part-time to fill up a full-time schedule. And you don't want to have a VA that's working for another seller, even if they're not in the US. It's just going to cause a lot of possible issues because they may be sharing leads back and forth between you and whoever else they're working for. And if they are working for somebody else also, they're not really going to be as focused on improving your business as they should be. So you just always want to try and do full-time if you can. If you can't, then maybe you want to hold off a little bit longer because you don't want your leads getting put to somebody else as well. So this is going to be just where you put in the job post, take out the title, and then that is good to go. I would just take out the bottom there, but that's just me. Wages, salary per month. A lot of sellers do $2 to $3 an hour. A lot of other sellers do maybe 4 to 5. It's kind of up to your own budget and just kind of the quality of VA that you want to get is what people say. But I've had really good experiences with a VA that works $3 an hour. One of my current VAs still works at that rate. It's gone up a little bit, but it's still around that price point. And that's what he started out at. And he's been with me for over 1.5 years now. So it's definitely doable. So you can just put in your current monthly price. So you do 160 hours a month. If you're doing full time, that's 40 hours a week times 4 weeks, 160 hours times whatever, $3, or $2, $250, whatever you're going to do inside of this salary per month here. Numbers of hours per week, 40. Then you just throw in your email and your name here. The only other thing is I would recommend doing send no applications to my email address, just because you're going to have a messages part up here to where you're going to get all your applications anyway. Kind of just a pain to fill up your email inbox with all of those applications, messages just kind of going back and forth. It's just going to be a lot of spam, not spam messages, but you're going to get spammed with messages. The only other thing that you probably need to know about your VA is going to be a lot of sellers do what's called a 1 week or 2 week trial period in the beginning. I recommend doing a trial period, but you may have seen or heard that you can get a 1 to 2 week trial from these people for free. I wouldn't recommend doing that personally. I haven't ever done that. I've always done a trial period, but it's paid. Because if somebody's working for you for free, they're not going to be as motivated to do the work or just kind of give you good quality work, in my belief. So I always tell them that there's going to be a 1 to 2 week trial. You're definitely locked in for that amount of time at this rate, and I'll pay you at the end of each week if it's 2 weeks, or just at the end of the week if it's 1 week. And then after the trial is completed, we will talk about if we're going to continue with the position or not. And that seems to get a lot better response than asking somebody to work for free for possibly up to 80 hours in total. It just doesn't seem fair to me, and I wouldn't want to do that. I just kind of think of this as a situation of like, I don't want to ask them to do anything that I am not willing to do or would want to do. Make sure you guys check out the link in the description for the free copy of that job post that I just showed in the video. There's also a link down there for anybody who wants my help starting or growing an Amazon business. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.